As Sasha and Inyuta made their way towards the exit, a luxurious foreign car pulled up to the mansion. It belonged to Vasily Antonovich and Zinaida Petrovna, the groom's parents. Inyuta's heart skipped a beat. "Oh no," she muttered under her breath. "We're too late. Now we'll have to endure the jokes, the mockery, and the half-heartedness." Zinaida Petrovna despised her son's fiancé with a passion, and she made no effort to hide it. She did everything in her power to drive them apart, displaying her contempt at every opportunity. Now, as she scrutinized Inyuta from head to toe, she muttered a dry, sarcastic greeting. "Hello," she added with a sneer. "Leaving already? Not even staying for a cup of tea. And where did you buy that adorable polka dot dress, Anechka?" She continued, dripping with sarcasm. "Probably on sale. It's so out of fashion now. Suitable for a dog shelter, maybe." Inyuta's face flushed crimson. She knew she was being mocked once again. Sasha, enraged by Zinaida Petrovna's behavior, spoke up angrily. "Mom, enough with your stupid jokes," Sasha exclaimed, frustration evident in his voice. "We had an agreement. She's my fiancée, and I love her. We're getting married soon, so I expect you to show some respect for my girlfriend." Zinaida Petrovna smiled sweetly and spoke in a subdued tone. "Oh, my dear son, you misunderstood me completely. I never meant to avoid Anechka. In fact, I was planning to meet her parents this weekend. It's important for the wedding and the families to get acquainted. It's only proper. We need to discuss everything, finalize the menu, and set the budget," she continued. "So, tell Anechka to inform her parents that we're expecting them for lunch on Saturday. Goodbye." As the couple walked out of the gate, Inyuta let out a sigh of relief. "Your mother, Sasha," she began, "I hope will live separately after the wedding. She's just unbearable." "I feel the same way about her," Sasha confessed. "Why doesn't she love me as much? I'm afraid to call my parents. They might face her wrath too." Sasha embraced his fiancée and tenderly kissed her cheek, trying to calm her down. "Please, don't worry so much and don't take her words to heart," he reassured her. "Yes, my mother is a complicated person. I won't deny that. But parents don't get to choose. She's a business-minded and assertive woman, used to bossing everyone around, especially her subordinates." "She had someone else in mind for me," Sasha continued, "a bride from a family of market hagglers, nasty, overweight Dasha. Well, I flatly refused. I fell in love with you, and that's why she's furious. But don't worry, we'll get married, and eventually, she'll come to terms with it. And of course, I'll make sure to handle her myself. Goodbye, my dear. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll miss you." The couple shared a passionate goodbye kiss, and Inyuta returned to her dormitory. She dialed her mother's number and shared the news about the invitation from the groom's parents. Exhausted, she tried to lay down and rest. However, sleep eluded her as memories from her childhood and youth flooded her mind, including the unpleasant presence of Zinaida Petrovna, who had spoiled her mood. The day Inyuta met Sasha would forever be etched in her memory. It all started when she noticed a helpless puppy attempting to dart across the road, oblivious to the oncoming traffic. The poor creature whimpered and struggled, desperately trying to stand on its injured legs, but no one paid attention. The cars zoomed by, unyielding and uncaring. Unable to bear the sight, Inyuta's heart ached with compassion for the puppy. Without hesitation, she darted toward the road, almost risking her life under the wheels of passing cars. With nimble movements, she managed to snatch the tiny creature just in time, rescuing it from the impending danger of the truck's wheels. She tightly held the puppy against her chest, feeling overwhelmed as she found herself trapped amidst the relentless flow of traffic. Suddenly, a strong hand of a stranger reached out and pulled her, signaling the driver to halt. The truck driver, clearly agitated, unleashed a stream of curses and pointed to his temple, expressing his frustration. He had a point, for there was no crosswalk, and only by some miracle did the girl narrowly escape being struck by a car. Gasping for breath on the sidewalk, she finally glanced at her savior, a kind-hearted and athletic young man. Anya was startled and stumbled over her words. "Thank you," she stammered. "I was trying to save the puppy. I rushed without thinking, nearly putting myself in harm's way. You were like a traffic cop. Excuse me, I must hurry and take this little one to the shelter. I work there, assisting the veterinarian. I ensure that the animals find caring homes. Oh, poor thing, it's crying and whimpering. I think its leg might be broken. By the way, my name is Anya." The young man kept pace with her, running alongside. "I'm Sasha," he introduced himself. "Nice to meet you. Can I come with you? I've never been to an animal shelter before, and it sounds intriguing to witness." Anya couldn't help but smile. "And you," she remarked, "are kind and courageous, unafraid to risk your life to save an animal. It's a rarity these days, a testament to your compassionate heart." She waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, I have a deep passion for animals. Ever since I was a child, I felt immense sorrow for those who have been abandoned or subjected to cruelty by sadistic individuals. There are far too many of them out there. Animals have souls too. They feel pain, fear, and betrayal. They suffer greatly from human cruelty. That's why they end up in shelters, cages and enclosures filled with kittens, cats, puppies, hamsters, parrots, and various other animals. Surprisingly, everything is clean and the pets are well-groomed, but it's still incredibly sad. The puppy I rescued was named Harry. We took him to the veterinarian, who examined the little patient while he quietly and somewhat calmer lay there, likely due to the effects of the painkiller or anesthetic. In the meantime, I decided to give my companion a tour of the shelter. "And here we have Mazia," I explained, gesturing to a handsome black cat with a white patch. "He's had a difficult life, one that we can't envy. His alcoholic owner regularly beat him and even threw him out of a fourth-floor window. Miraculously, Mazia survived. Initially, he hissed at everyone, unable to trust anyone after enduring so much from people. But I managed to break through to him by sitting next to him for a long time and speaking to him gently, like a fellow human being. I promised him that he would never be hurt again, that I would love him, bring him all sorts of treats, and he gradually softened, no longer hissing or scratching. As if responding to my voice, Mazia approached me, crawling into my arms and eagerly seeking affection, rubbing against me and purring contentedly. And she joyfully exclaimed, "We're going to bring him home this week. I've already made arrangements with the superintendent, and I'm absolutely smitten with him." Pointing to another resident of the shelter, I introduced Lime. She may not be a purebred, but she's incredibly intelligent. Unfortunately, she's an older dog with few teeth and impaired vision. Her heartless owner abandoned her, leaving her tied up and alone. It's unimaginable how someone can be so callous, knowing they've condemned their beloved pet to certain death. Lime endured that suffering for 15 days, reduced to skin and bones, until a compassionate ranger discovered her and brought her here. Her eyes were filled with tears, I assure you, just like every other animal here. They all carry their own tragedies, and my heart breaks for them. And little Harry, he's so tiny and adorable, yet nobody seems to want him. It's such a shame. Suddenly, Sasha chimed in, "Let me take him. I have a spacious mansion, plenty of food, and we already have 2 German shepherds. I'm sure we can make room for him." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Anya embraced Sasha tightly. "Thank you, Sasha, but please think it through carefully. He's not just a toy. If you decide to take him, you're responsible for his well-being." Sasha's smile reassured her. "Don't worry, I understand. I'll take full responsibility. You'll have the chance to see that I'm an excellent and responsible host," Sasha confidently stated. "Since I like you so much, I intend to invite you to a cafe and a movie tonight, followed by a visit to see Harry. We have to introduce him to his new home somehow." Anya blushed, feeling a pleasant warmth spread through her. Sasha's compliments were delightful, and she genuinely liked him too. With her fondness growing, she didn't resist and gladly accepted his proposal. Their first date was filled with originality. They chatted so much in the cafe that they ended up being late for the movie. However, they strolled around together under the moonlight until dawn, sharing everything and even witnessing the beautiful sunrise. Anya found herself genuinely fond of Sasha. He was like a chivalrous knight, gallant, polite, yet easy to talk to. He affectionately referred to her as the little inch, which she found endearing. There were indeed similarities between them, both petite in stature, with well-defined figures, long blonde hair, and big blue eyes. Their romance blossomed swiftly, and they fell deeply in love with each other. It was revealed that Sasha came from a wealthy family, the Koryakins, who owned a chain of gas stations. However, there were rumors circulating about his parents, some of which were less than favorable. There was a mysterious air surrounding their rise to wealth in the 90s, as they seemingly came from humble beginnings. The townspeople were convinced that there was something they were hiding, despite having no evidence of any illicit dealings. But as their relationship progressed, Anya believed in Sasha's sincerity and integrity, choosing to focus on their love and the connection they shared, rather than the rumors that swirled around his family's past. Their treatment of employees was abysmal. Staff turnover was alarmingly high, as they made false promises and unjustly charged them for various transgressions, resulting in meager wages. The hostess, Zinaida Petrovna, was particularly obnoxious. Many had witnessed her easily berate or insult employees, constantly asserting her superiority. However, Zinaida Petrovna possessed remarkable business acumen, surpassing even most men. She excelled in haggling and would fiercely negotiate to secure orders and obtain discounts and low prices on purchases. On the other hand, her husband, Vasily Antonovich, had no understanding of entrepreneurship and lived a life of leisure, basking in his wife's accomplishments. He simply carried out her commands without question, often flaunting his wealth in public. Yet, to everyone's surprise, Sasha stood apart. He remained remarkably modest, eschewing arrogance and displays of opulence. He dressed like everyone else and pursued a degree in economics at the university. During their first date, Anya openly shared her background with Sasha. She came from a humble farming family in the countryside, where they toiled from sunrise to sunset. Growing up, she assisted them in every way possible. From a young age, her love for animals was evident, and she dedicated herself to their care. Their farmyard was always teeming with livestock: chickens, ducks, piglets, bulls, and even quail. After completing school, she was sent to study veterinary medicine at the academy. Additionally, she worked at an orphanage, driven by her compassionate nature. Each successful tail wag or tick removal brought her a sense of satisfaction, knowing she had improved and saved an animal's life. The couple began spending most evenings together, strolling through the city and enjoying countryside picnics. Anya seamlessly integrated into Sasha's circle of friends, and Harry frequently joined them for walks in the park. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and they cherished their moments together, building a bond based on shared values and a mutual love for animals. The puppy displayed remarkable intelligence, quickly learning commands and eagerly fetching the dropped ball with joy in his little teeth. The young couple couldn't help but burst into laughter when he buried his nose in the leaves, frantically wriggling from side to side. News of their passionate relationship quickly reached the groom's mother, and Anya received an invitation to visit their home, so to speak. Nervousness consumed Anya as she pondered over various outfits. After all, she would be stepping into the abode of a wealthy family. She deliberated on what to say and how to behave. Ultimately, she settled on an elegant, tasteful violet-colored dress. Her long blonde curls were artfully styled and braided into an intriguing hairdo, while a pair of pumps adorned her feet. She even borrowed a small clutch to complete her ensemble. As Sasha laid eyes on her, he couldn't help but marvel and shower her with compliments. However, he noticed her trembling like an aspen leaf in the wind and quickly sought to calm her anxieties. "Why so silly? It's just a dinner," Sasha reassured her. "I'll be there with you. Don't worry, my parents are bound to like you. You're such a doll, smart and charming. But remember, we're all just getting to know each other. At the end of the day, it's important to keep in mind that my intentions are serious." Anya was struck by the opulence and wealth that emanated from the mansion. Expensive paintings adorned the walls, bronze statuettes were scattered throughout, and various lavish decorations were on display. It felt daunting, as if she had stepped into a museum or an exhibition. She was afraid to touch anything, fearing that she might accidentally drop or damage something so valuable. Compared to her modest home, this grandeur seemed overwhelming. Anya's initial impression of Sasha's parents was far from favorable. His father had small, shifty eyes and an unpleasant appearance. He openly stared at her, seemingly evaluating her. His mother resembled a long, skinny snake, curling her lips contemptuously at the sight of Anya and whispering through her teeth. "Good evening. Come in," Sasha greeted, attempting to ease the tension. "I hope my future wife knows her way around cutlery. They're all silvered, you know, and I'll be sure to count them after dinner. Please join us at the table." The mood instantly soured. Anya felt a wave of discomfort wash over her, a strong desire to escape from this inhospitable atmosphere. Sasha made an effort to lighten the atmosphere, cracking jokes and wearing a smile in an attempt to diffuse the mounting tension. However, Zinaida Petrovna persistently picked on her son's fiancé, particularly after learning that Anya hailed from the countryside and volunteered at an animal shelter. Caustic insinuations began to pour in from Zinaida Petrovna. Of course, what else can we expect from a girl from a village? Working at an animal shelter, that's the best career opportunity, isn't it? I suppose you're already well acquainted with cows and steers. The sarcastic remark stung, but Anya resolved to maintain her composure, refusing to let their belittlement dampen her spirit. "Do you think you've become an expert in dealing with cows and steers?" Zinaida Petrovna's mockery continued, causing Anya to blush from head to toe as she attempted to defend herself. "Why are you like this?" Anya replied, her voice tinged with frustration. "Take Harry, for example. Look at how intelligent and wonderful he is. I rescued him from under the wheels of a car, and with the help of the shelter, we nursed him back to health. Isn't that something to be proud of?" Sasha's mother sneered, summarizing the situation. "Bravo, so now we have this in our backyard as well. I hope these gifts will keep coming regularly. Are you planning to bring us more flea-ridden filth?" Anya couldn't bear it any longer. She dropped her fork and ran out of the room in tears, bidding them farewell. "I'm sorry, I have to leave. If you dislike Harry so much, I'll take him with me. No animal deserves to suffer in a house where it is unwelcome, just like a human being. Goodbye." Sasha rushed after her, calling out to his mother. "Mom, this is unacceptable. Thank you for the warm welcome, regardless of how upset you are. Anya and I will still be together, and we will get married, I assure you. You should be ashamed of your behavior. What kind of person are you to mistreat a dog in this way?" Despite feeling deeply hurt and humiliated, Anya found solace in the fact that her fiancé stood up for her. He didn't side with his mother's hurtful remarks. Tears streamed down her face as she grappled with the offensive and repulsive behavior displayed by these snobbish individuals. They knew nothing about her, yet they treated her as if she were their bitter enemy, a person of lesser value. "Poor Harry," Anya whispered, her voice filled with determination. "We need to get him out of here. He has endured enough." Breathless, Sasha caught up to his bride and held her tightly, cherishing her like the dearest treasure. He gently comforted her, assuring her that they would overcome these challenges together. "My darling Anya, I am deeply ashamed of my mother. Please forgive her. I don't know what has gotten into her. She can't seem to accept that I fell in love with you, instead of that awful Dasha she tried to set me up with. Don't listen to anyone else. You are the best and the most beloved to me, my favorite person. We're going to get married and be happy, regardless of whether some people approve or not. We have our own lives to live, not theirs. So stop crying and let's go to your place. We'll have some tea, Sasha whispered, holding Anya close. Anya hugged Sasha tightly, whispering, I love you, and I'm so afraid of losing you. I don't think your mother likes me, and I worry that you might change your mind about marrying me. But I'll make some tea for you. I have cookies too. Let's go, and we'll figure out what to do about Harry. I'm really worried about him now. Sasha chuckled softly. What my mom said was just out of spite. She wanted to hurt you. In reality, she doesn't even go near our dogs. Our manager, Stepa, takes care of them, and he is kind and nice. Don't worry, everything is fine with Harry. In fact, we took him for a walk just yesterday, and you saw how happy and well-fed he is. Anya and Sasha found happiness in the simplest of settings. In the communal kitchen of an ordinary student dormitory, they savored fried potatoes from a pan, sipped tea, and enjoyed cookies. They didn't need extravagant delicacies or specialties. What truly mattered was that their two loving hearts were united. Despite their mother's disapproval, the couple continued to see each other and decided to have a humble wedding. They rented an apartment and began to create a cozy home for themselves. Today, as they went to Sasha's parents' house to collect some of his belongings, they encountered his potential mother-in-law once again. Once again, Zinaida Petrovna managed to sour the mood, disapproving of the sudden invitation to Anya's parents. She was well aware of the disdain she held for that woman. Meanwhile, the Koryakin's mansion was in a frenzy. Zinaida Petrovna's voice echoed through the halls as she shouted in frustration. What did our son see in that peasant girl? She exclaimed. And worst of all, she's clinging to him like a leech. I've been giving her a hard time, but she seems unfazed. Once her parents arrive, Sashka will run away from her. I'll show them the guts of the village. Her husband hesitated and weakly objected. Maybe she's not so bad. Let them spend some time together, or else he might leave the house. You know he has a strong temper. But Zinaida Petrovna grew furious with her spouse. Shut up, you imbecile. He's going to leave. What will he live on? He'll have to want to leave her on his own. Do you understand? And then I'll give him Dasha. We can even open a few more gas stations downtown. What use is this dog lady? No, I won't rest until this wedding never happens. On the appointed day, Anya, Sasha, and her parents arrived at the Koryakin's mansion. Matvey Yegorovich and Galina Yefimovna dressed modestly but tastefully. Anya's mother wore a simple yet elegant coffee-colored dress, her hair neatly tied in a bun, and she wore stylish shoes. Her father wore a sweater and pants. On the other hand, Zinaida Petrovna appeared like an overly adorned Christmas tree, as if she had adorned herself with all the decorations in the house. With her rhinestone embroidered dress and a ridiculous tiara, she appeared rather absurd, bordering on comical. Dear guests, we have been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Please come in, wash your hands, and join us at the table. I must admit, I failed to understand why skilled drivers are chauffeuring Stalin in used Nevas. Galina Yefimovna extended a large basket, saying, These are delicious gifts for you, fresh from our village. Please don't be shy, they were all grown by us. Zinaida Petrovna glanced disdainfully at the sausages, lard, goat cheese, and vegetables before sneeringly grinning. Glasha, please take them away. We don't eat such things. They are full of cholesterol and fat. But thank you, we'll find another place for them. Anya's mother was disheartened that her well-intentioned gift wasn't appreciated. It became evident that the evening would not be pleasant. The feast proceeded in a dry and uneventful manner. Zinaida acted like a wasp, stinging the guests with her snide remarks and showcasing her perceived superiority and high social status. She attempted to engage in small talk, mentioning her dilemma of whether to buy Versus or Armani shoes. Kalina Yefimovna smiled politely and excused herself, avoiding getting involved in the conversation. Zenaida took advantage of the opportunity to make a sly remark. "Of course, you don't have time in the countryside for shopping. You must be more interested in cowsheds." At one point, Zenaida opened a window, complaining about the stuffiness and the smell of manure. Anya's father had been observing the furniture, antiques, and paintings throughout the evening, appearing pensive but keeping his thoughts to himself. Sasha's father playfully teased him, remarking on how wealthy people live and don't have to work hard in the fields. He praised Zenaida's business acumen and her ability to accumulate wealth effortlessly. Finally, Anya could no longer bear the humiliation. "Enough! I can't tolerate your hospitality any longer, and I won't allow you to disrespect the people closest to me. We're leaving. Thanks for your hospitality, but we will find another place to go. Goodbye." Anya and her family departed, seeking refuge from the unbearable atmosphere created by Zenaida Petrovna's demeaning behavior. Zenaida Petrovna waved her hands dismissively, pretending not to understand the situation. "Oh, you're leaving already? Too bad. Well, goodbye. At least it will be something to remember. Not every day one gets to visit such palaces," she remarked sarcastically. Anya's father responded calmly, undeterred by Zenaida's words. "Oh, your efforts will be in vain. You might come to regret all of this," he said, suggesting that their actions would have consequences. Galina, Anya's mother, intervened, sensing the tension. "Let's go. There's nothing more for us here. The dinner party for the prospective in-laws is over," she said, leading the family away from the unpleasant situation. Without even sitting down at the table, everyone left with a bitter taste in their mouths. Anya bid farewell to her mother, tears streaming down her face. "Forgive me, Mom, that you and Dad had to endure all of this. Zenaida Petrovna is an unbearable person, always intentionally picking on me. But Sasha, he's not like them at all. He's the best. I'm so happy with him. It's as if he's not part of that toxic family. I don't want to break up with him just because of his mean mother," Anya expressed, her emotions pouring out. Anya's father gently stroked her head, comforting her with his words. "Don't grieve, my dear. Sasha is a wonderful guy. I could see it from the first moment we met. We connected instantly, and with him by your side, you won't be lost. You'll be as strong as a stone wall. Trust me, I've encountered many people in my life, and I have a good eye for character. I'll handle his difficult mother. Things will soon change, you'll see." With her father's assurance and support, Anya found solace. She held onto the hope that their love would prevail over the challenges posed by Sasha's mother, and that they would overcome any obstacles together. "The important thing is that you and your fiancé love each other, and the rest will fall into place. You mentioned that you've rented an apartment, so enjoy your life together there. I'll figure something out." A couple of weeks passed by, with Anya continuing to care for and nurture animals while attending lectures. Sasha studied and worked in the evenings. They enjoyed watching movies together and found joy in playing with their pet. Their relationship was filled with harmony and devoid of fights. However, Zenaida Petrovna remained restless and persisted in making their lives miserable. She would call, demanding that her son abandon this country bumpkin, and even threatened to disinherit him. One day, out of the blue, Anya's mother called and said, "Daughter, Sasha's parents want to visit us again in the evening, around 5 o'clock. They claim it's for an important matter regarding your wedding. We didn't get a chance to discuss it last time." Anya was horrified and exclaimed, "Mom, why would you agree to meet them again? Those horrible people will only humiliate you once more. I can't bear it. We don't need this wedding. Let's have a simple ceremony and be done with it. Zenaida Petrovna has already gotten on my nerves, calling Sasha every day and pressuring him to leave me. She threatens to disinherit him if he doesn't comply. And you're saying we should visit them? Personally, I don't want to see Zenaida Petrovna again. She makes me tremble." But Anya's father answered the phone and calmly reassured her, "Daughter, we'll go tomorrow without asking for anything. Just trust me and wait." Anya turned to her fiancé, still in shock, and said, "Did you hear that? My parents are going to visit yours again tomorrow. I tried to talk them out of it, but they insisted. They said it's to decide something about our wedding. But I'm sure your mother will start her usual act. I can't bear it." Sasha simply shrugged his shoulders and replied, "Let them come. We'll handle whatever happens together. We won't let their negativity ruin our happiness. Trust me, my love,
they can come.
Everything will be fine.
It's not a big deal.
I'll inform my parents too. Maybe they'll finally reconcile, and my mother will stop harassing me. Personally, I really like your parents. They are kind and down-to-earth people. As for my mother, she wasn't always like this. It seems like something has changed in her." The entire next day, Anya was on edge. She couldn't help but imagine how the encounter would unfold, anticipating her parents being humiliated by her mother-in-law's snide remarks and flaunting her superiority. This time, Anya and Sasha arrived at the mansion early, and Sasha tried to appeal to his mother's conscience. "Mom, Dad, please don't behave like last time. Let's show respect for my fiancé's parents. They are good people. Here they come. I'll go and welcome them." A car pulled up in the yard, but it wasn't the same old Neva from last time. It was a luxurious foreign car. Anya couldn't believe her eyes when she saw her parents step out of the vehicle. Her mother looked like she just walked off a fashion runway, wearing a stunning dress with an open back and accessorized with exquisite sapphire jewelry. Her father, too, looked unrecognizable. If she had passed him on the street, she wouldn't have recognized him in his expensive tweed suit, gold cufflinks, and a Swiss watch on his wrist. Zinaida Petrovna was taken aback, not knowing what to say. She managed to make a sarcastic comment. "Oh my, did you sell all your cows and bulls to afford these outfits, or did you take out loans? Saving money for your daughter's wedding, I suppose." Anya's father smiled warmly, glanced at Zinaida Petrovna, and entered the house. Then he unexpectedly spoke up. "That's enough. Close your mouth. Take your husband and leave this house." Anya couldn't believe her ears. "He belongs to me. She had all about your mother-in-law to explode in anger and kick her parents out of the house for such accusations." But instead, both Zinaida Petrovna and her husband turned pale and began to stammer, claiming they had no idea what he was talking about. Matvey Yegorovich persisted, his voice filled with conviction. "I know exactly whose house this is and everything that's inside. The paintings, the antiques, the jewelry. This mansion belonged to a millionaire named Morozov. He tragically died in an accident with his wife many years ago, leaving behind a young daughter. I was personally acquainted with Ivan Morozov. We were close friends and business partners. However, during the turbulent 90s, I made some foolish choices and ended up in jail. It was during my time behind bars that I received the devastating news of Vanya's death, and his wealth seemed to vanish into thin air as if it had never existed at all." Zinaida Petrovna and her husband sat silently on the sofa, their mouths agape, their faces filled with shock. Anya and Sasha listened intently, captivated by the unfolding story. Matvey Yegorovich continued, his voice steady. "And now, Zinaida Petrovna, please explain how a cook and a gardener could amass such a vast fortune and become millionaires. You served the late Ivan, didn't you? You cooked his meals, didn't you? And your husband tended to the garden. Where did you acquire the capital to open gas stations? Not just millions, but tens of millions of rubles? Why don't you say something?" Matvey's words struck a chord. It all started to make sense. The couple must have known the code to the safe and took advantage of the tragic deaths of the owners to seize their wealth. The statuettes, the paintings, they were valuable rarities that experts could confirm. The pieces were one of a kind, and the evidence was undeniable. Matvey confronted them, accusing their greed of leading to their downfall. Anya and Sasha listened in disbelief, Their perception of Zenaida Petrovna and her husband completely shattered. The truth had been unveiled, and it was clear that they had been living in a web of deceit. You hid, concealed your identities, forged documents, and changed your names to escape detection. With the stolen money, you decided to start your own business, using my friend's wealth to get rich. Zenaida Petrovna, I must admit, you have a knack for business. You outshine many men in your ventures, and your husband is nothing more than your accomplice. But that wasn't enough for you. You schemed to take over the mansion from an elderly, frail woman, Ivan's mother, Mariana Petrovna. You manipulated her, convincing her to sign fraudulent documents for the sale of a small seaside house, while deceiving her into surrendering the mansion. In the end, you stripped her of her home and left her with nothing. The poor old woman was thrown out onto the streets, forced to give up her own son and move into a nursing home. Zenaida interrupted, trying to deny the accusations, claiming it was all a sick fantasy without any evidence. She insisted that they were honest businessmen, the Karyakins. Matvey Yegorovich silenced her with a commanding gesture, "Shut up and listen." The old lady in the nursing home kept a diary where she documented everything you did, from beginning to end. She had blind trust in the people who had served her for years, unaware of the deception you were plotting. She believed you were the most reliable individuals she could find. Because of you, Matvey continued, she lost her home, and she unwittingly signed away the mansion. But her diary contains the truth, and it will serve as evidence against you. Zenaida Petrovna's face turned pale, realization sinking in. The weight of their deceit and theft had finally caught up with them. The truth had come to light, and there was no escape from the consequences of their actions. Asterisk, she made sure to request the nursing home staff not to discard the diary before her passing. She emphasized its importance, knowing that there was something crucial within its pages. Her plea was heard, and the nurse placed the diary in the archives alongside her personal belongings. That diary contains the evidence needed, and I assure you, there is more than enough to prove your guilt. But that's not the end of it. Sasha is not your biological son. You adopted him from an orphanage. It wasn't out of genuine love for children, but rather a calculated move to solidify your status in high society. Isn't that right? It's interesting how a successful couple like yourselves suddenly found themselves without children. Sasha, however, grew up to be a remarkable young man. He doesn't carry your tainted blood. He is a kind-hearted and genuine individual. The moment I stepped into the house during my previous visit, everything became clear to me. Those statuettes and candlesticks, along with the jewelry and money, were stored in the same safe. And let's not forget the watch your husband wears so casually. Where did it come from, Vasily Antonovich? That watch has an emerald inlay, and engraved on the back are the words, "To Ivan, for a lasting memory from Matthew." I presented that watch to my dear friend many years ago. He cherished it as a memento, never wearing it and keeping it safely stored away. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, revealing the depth of your deceit and theft. The evidence is undeniable, and justice will be served. As Sasha's father reluctantly removed the watch under the watchful gaze of everyone in the room, the faint engraving became visible. Vasily, being cunning, had tried to erase the names, leaving only the phrase, "for a lasting memory." Yet the truth could not be concealed. Ania's father, seizing the moment, continued with his revelation. When I was released from prison, he began, I made a conscious decision to leave my past behind and start a new life. I moved to the countryside and focused on farming. I wanted to build a better future for my daughter, to save money for her wedding. The living room fell into a deafening silence. The occupants exchanged bewildered glances, struggling to digest the weight of the information they had just received. Matvey Yegorovich took a bold step forward, revealing the most critical piece of the puzzle. He disclosed that Ivan's daughter had survived the accident and had been immediately placed in an orphanage due to her grandmother's advanced age. With no other relatives to care for her, he had made it his mission to find and adopt the little girl. It was a promise he had made to his dear friend Ivan, who had entrusted him with his daughter's well-being. "I couldn't have children of my own," he continued, "due to the radiation exposure I faced during my time in the missile forces. It's a miracle I'm still alive, but they wouldn't allow me to adopt a child, given my criminal record. So my sister became her legal guardian. My daughter, unaware of her adoption, believes me to be her biological father, and I love her more than life itself. She is my guiding light, and I never once thought of her as anything less than my own flesh and blood. So please love her as your own." Anya, now revealed as the rightful heiress of the millionaire Morozov, stood before them. This house and all the stolen valuables rightfully belonged to her. There was only one path for Zinaida Petrovna and Vasily to take: to leave immediately and relinquish their ill-gotten possessions. The weight of truth hung heavily in the air, the room suffused with a mix of disbelief, shock, and an undeniable sense of justice finally being served. The consequences of their actions had caught up to them, and now they had no choice but to face the consequences. Anya's revelation left her shaken to the core. It felt like a surreal dream, yet the evidence was irrefutable. Her once conniving mother-in-law scurried around the house, hastily packing her belongings, while her husband sought solace in a bottle of cognac. The truth had come crashing down, and Zinaida Petrovna and Vasily had no choice but to accept their impending fate. Anya couldn't contain her emotions as she embraced her fiancé, tears streaming down her face. In the midst of their shared embrace, Sasha confided in her, revealing the deep void he had always felt in terms of parental love. No matter what he did, his efforts went unappreciated, and he was treated as an outsider within his own family. The realization hit them both. Their paths had been intertwined by deceit, and yet they found solace in each other's arms. Anya shook her head, indicating that she held no resentment towards her adoptive parents. She was grateful that they had chosen to raise her and provide a loving home, even without knowing her true origins. She rushed to her father, embracing him tightly, declaring that he was not just a stepfather, but her beloved dad. The love and appreciation she felt for her mother were equally expressed. It was a moment of reconciliation and gratitude. Meanwhile, Sasha's adoptive parents, realizing the extent of their deception, hastily retreated from the scene, their heels echoing their departure. The irony was not lost on the couple. Now, with the truth revealed, Sasha and Anya could move forward with their lives, embracing their shared heritage and building a future together. Despite the dismissal and the denial of financial support from Sasha's adoptive parents, he remained silent, refusing to engage in their rude behavior. In truth, he felt a sense of relief knowing that these individuals had no claim over him. The strained relationship they had developed made it clear that they were not deserving of his attention or care. With Anna's newfound inheritance as a wealthy heiress, she and Sasha moved into the mansion, making it their own by redecorating according to their tastes. They took charge of planning their wedding, inviting friends from college, Anya's parents, and even their neighbors to celebrate their union. Before embarking on their honeymoon by the sea, Anya had one final important task to fulfill. With the support of her stepfather, Anya and Sasha located the gravesite of her biological parents. The burial site was adorned with a beautiful monument, meticulously cared for and surrounded by flowers. Overwhelmed with emotions, Anya shed tears as she looked at the photographs of her family, trying to imagine what they were like. Matvey Yegorovich sat down with his daughter, sharing intricate details about her father and mother, providing her with a glimpse into her own history. Remember, every year on April 9th, I would leave home and return late, sometimes a little tipsy. I used to explain that it was my best friend's birthday. When you were young, you wondered who this friend was because he never came to visit us. Well, it was your father's birthday, and I would spend it with him at the cemetery. We would talk about everything, and I believed that he could hear me from heaven and support me. Your father was a wonderful man, and I still miss him dearly. Matvey Yegorovich showed me old photographs, and we looked at them together, shedding tears of both joy and sadness. Our relationship has grown stronger, and there are no more secrets between us. Matvey Yegorovich's heart is finally at peace. He no longer has to carry everything inside him, as he has fulfilled his promise to his friend, returned the inheritance, and shared the truth about her father with Anya. Finally, the long-awaited vacation arrived for Anya and Sasha. Their trip was filled with amazing experiences: the sea, palm trees, sunshine, and delicious fruits. While sunbathing and enjoying cocktails, Anya suddenly fell ill and began experiencing severe symptoms. Worried, Sasha quickly carried her to the hospital, despite her weak protests. After a long wait in the corridor, the doctor finally came out with good news. He congratulated Sasha, revealing that Anya was 16 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. Though Anya had common toxemia and needed to be careful with the sun and wine, overall, everything was fine. Sasha was overjoyed, hugging and kissing Anya. They celebrated the news, and Sasha promised to find a job as soon as they returned. He declared himself the head of the family, the breadwinner, while Anya could take a sabbatical and continue her studies through correspondence. Sasha playfully teased Anya for not mentioning her pregnancy earlier, calling her a partisan. They were filled with excitement. The girls spoke in a rush for the future, realizing that amidst the excitement of the news and wedding preparations, she had neglected her own well-being. She had mistaken her symptoms for a mere nervous breakdown, thinking it was a common occurrence among women. However, it wasn't just a one-day occurrence. She had been feeling unwell for a while. Overwhelmed, she couldn't believe she was going to be a mother and questioned her ability to handle it all. Sasha enveloped her in a comforting embrace, his words soft and reassuring. He reminded her that they were in this together, assuring her that her parents would be overjoyed by the news and more than willing to help as doting grandparents. He urged her not to worry, emphasizing that everything would work out fine. With that, he suggested they find some respite, escaping the scorching sun and opting for relaxation in the shade. The couple cherished the happiness of the present moment. Upon learning the great news, Matvey Yegorovich and Galina Yefimovna were filled with elation. They indulged in excitement, going on shopping sprees to purchase adorable clothes for their future grandchild. As evening fell, they eagerly discussed plans for the swings in the yard and contemplated the perfect spot for the crib. Matvey Yegorovich lovingly embraced his wife, expressing his profound joy at the prospect of becoming grandparents. He acknowledged that their remarkable parenting had yielded a wonderful daughter, and he believed their late friend, Vanya, would have been immensely proud. Zinaida Petrovna's life took a tragic turn as her fate became filled with hardship. Her husband, known for his gentle nature, succumbed to the weight of their circumstances and turned to excessive drinking. The consequences were dire, as he tragically ended his life in a fire caused by an unattended cigarette. This devastating loss left Zinaida Petrovna alone to face the consequences of their actions. In addition to her personal loss, Zinaida Petrovna made an ill-advised business deal that resulted in the loss of her remaining savings. Her financial stability crumbled, forcing her to sell her entire business in an attempt to repay her creditors. With her financial situation in ruins, she was compelled to relocate to the outskirts of the city. Zinaida Petrovna's reputation preceded her, as her notorious bad temper became well known among the local community. This notoriety made it nearly impossible for her to find employment, as people were hesitant to associate with someone known for causing trouble. She found herself ostracized and shunned by society, left with no option but to accept a position as a cleaner in a cafe. Struggling to come to terms with her new reality, Zinaida Petrovna found it difficult to accept her diminished circumstances. She resorted to pestering others, desperate to regain a semblance of her former life. However, her actions only fueled further resentment and animosity from those around her. As she continued to disrupt others' lives, her behavior led to a deep-rooted dislike from the community. Zinaida Petrovna's downfall served as a harsh reminder that life demands a price for our actions. Her once lavish lifestyle and sense of entitlement had blinded her to the consequences of her choices. In the end, she reaped the bitter fruits of her actions, facing the isolation and disdain she had sown. Thank you so much for subscribing and like it.